Deep in the heart of the old town, there stood an abandoned house that had been left to rot for decades. Its walls were covered in peeling paint, and its windows were boarded up with wooden planks that had been nailed in place long ago. The locals whispered that the house was cursed, and that those who entered its doors would never return. Despite the warnings, a group of friends decided to explore the abandoned house one dark and stormy night. They had heard rumors that an ancient book of dark magic was hidden somewhere within its walls, and they were determined to find it. As they crept through the overgrown garden, they could feel the eyes of the townspeople upon them, watching as they made their way towards the house. They pushed open the creaky old door and stepped inside, their flashlights casting eerie shadows on the walls. The air inside was thick with the scent of decay, and the floorboards creaked beneath their feet. Cobwebs hung from the ceiling, and the walls were covered in peeling wallpaper. But despite its dilapidated state, the house seemed to hold a dark and mysterious energy that drew the group further in. As they moved through the dusty old rooms, they could hear whispers in the shadows and the rustling of unseen creatures. But they were undeterred, and they continued their search until they came to a room that was locked from the inside. One of the friends managed to force the door open, revealing a room that was filled with ancient tomes and dusty old books. As they searched through the piles, they finally found what they had been looking for: a large, leather-bound book that was emblazoned with strange and twisted symbols. One of the friends reached out to take the book, but as soon as they touched it, they could feel a dark and malevolent energy coursing through their veins. The air in the room grew thick with an otherworldly energy, and the whispers that had been lingering in the shadows grew louder and more insistent. Suddenly, the door slammed shut behind them, trapping the group inside with the cursed book. As they tried to escape, they found that the windows and doors had been sealed shut, leaving them trapped within the cursed house. The pages of the book began to turn on their own, revealing ancient and unspeakable horrors that filled the room with an eerie, pulsing light. The friends could feel their minds slipping away, consumed by the terrible knowledge contained within the book's pages. They saw visions of twisted and grotesque creatures, of dark and sinister rituals, and of ancient and malevolent gods who ruled over realms of darkness and chaos. They felt as though they were drowning in an ocean of fear and terror with no hope of escape. Days turned into weeks, and the group was lost in a twisted realm of madness and horror. They saw things that no mortal should ever see, and their minds were consumed by a darkness that would never let them go. One by one, they began to disappear, consumed by the darkness that surrounded them. Their bodies were found days later, twisted and mangled beyond recognition, with a look of unspeakable horror etched on their faces. The town's residents were horrified by what had happened, and they knew that the cursed book had claimed yet another victim. They sealed off the abandoned house, but the legend of the cursed book continued to haunt the town for years to come. And so the cursed book remained hidden in the abandoned house, waiting for the next unsuspecting victim to open its pages and unleash its terrible power upon the world.